Good morning. This is Hannah with Hannah Crafted Gifts, and I'm going to get started here. Apologies for being a minute late. I just want to make sure that we are live, so I'm checking on my Facebook. Please feel free to comment. One of my favorite things about doing these lives is knowing that I'm not alone. So that's one of my favorite things about crafting, is being able to create in community. So please let me know you're here and you're watching. If you are, I may or may not be able to follow comments. It seems like they're always delayed. At the very least, but I will certainly go back and respond to them later. Even if you're watching this on replay, I want to know who you are, where you are. Again, I'm Hannah with Hannah Crafted Gifts, and I see someone's watching, so thank you, whoever you are. I recently moved and bought my first house. Yay! However, I am standing in a room full of boxes and furniture, pretty much everything from the moving truck. And the rest of the house is under renovation. So you might notice, if you look closely, some paint on my hands. I tried to get that off for you this morning. Good morning, Aurelia and Vicky. So please bear with me. I'm here on like a makeshift desk with this piece of wood, and I found somehow in a box this morning with my husband's help my trusty phone stand. So hopefully things aren't going to fall over here. But I wanted to share with you, even despite being mid-move, a couple cards using the Sweet Stockings designer series paper. So we obviously have this whole suite of super cute products in the Sweet Stockings suite. That's a tongue twister. But I did a Christmas in July class, and all I focused on was the designer series paper, because I was all about the pets and little creatures that are all wrapped up in Christmas in this suite. So I wanted to feature that. Now, of course, the stamp set features that as well, so that would be a great complement to these projects. But I'll show you what we're making. And by the way, this is on the July to December mini catalog, pages 30 and 31, if you want to check that out. So we're going to be making 2 cards today. Hopefully we'll have time for both, and then a third I want to just show you at the end. The first one is called A Box in a Card, and I want to thank Rachel Tessman from Stamp Your Art Out. Actually, my friend Elisa Stein first pointed me to this, and we followed the instructions from Rachel and just kind of made it our own for a project a couple years ago. And I brought it back because I thought it went so well with this designer series paper. So you can see here, it's a box that comes out of a card, and the card opens up. We're going to talk about keeping this flap in there for stability, or I just did. It's easiest to add the box in when the card is closed, but then of course you open it up, and hopefully you can see this even though I've got the aerial view. It stands up, so it's a great display. Because this is made out of designer series paper, it is a pretty light box, so it's great for a cash gift or maybe just some little candies, nothing too heavy in there. But again, this went so well with the designer series paper, because check it out. That cat, which is, you know, my favorite creature, I have one in the other room, is popping out of a box that looks just like this one. And I also added the little mouse. My sentiment is wishing you a year of magical moments and wonderful memories. So we're going to be making this one today. But for you dog lovers out there, I love dogs too. I grew up with dogs. I also made this version at my class. So people got one or the other, and I let them trade depending on which one they wanted. But I just passed them out, and they got either the cat or the dog. I love that this golden retriever is all wrapped up in the Christmas lights. And so I had the Christmas lights DSP behind him. And you'll notice I added something to these projects that I'm not going to add to the one I make today. So I did add the crinkled seam binding ribbon to this one that creates a nice border between the designer series paper and the card base, which is just basic white, as you can see. And again, wraps around the present just like this does. Now, you'll notice that this is not white, and that's because I colored it with Stampin' Write markers. I do recommend using Stampin' Blends instead. They dry a lot faster. The Stampin' Write markers almost never dry. And if you look closely, you'll see some of it transferred to my white box top here. But that's what I had in Cherry Cobbler, and I wanted it to match exactly. And I did the same thing on this one with Evening Evergreen on the Baker's Twine, the basic white Baker's Twine. And that way it looks like the cord the bulbs are on, kind of wrapping around the present. This one says, I'm so happy to celebrate these moments with you. And these sentiments, as well as the dies that cut out the labels, are from the Many Messages stamp set and the Messages dies, which, as we know, in the new annual catalog, I guess, can we still call that new? It came out in May. We now have another set of stamps that go with those dies, so it's great. All right, so here's the card. Standard card base, and let me get my little cheat sheet for measurements up here, because it's been a little while since I made these, so I want to make sure I tell you the right things. So standard card base of, let's see, I'm already forgetting my basics, 8.5 by 5.5, so you fold it at 4 1/4. And then I've got my strip for the front, which is almost half the front. It's 2 inches by 5.5. I had to be very strategic with my cuts for this designer series paper because I had one pack and I had my biggest class I've ever had, so I really had to stretch it. But luckily, you know, we can make it work. And I had just enough left over to show you with these last couple samples. This is to make your box base, and this is 6 by 6. I'll come back to how I cut it. This is for your box top, and this is 3 by 3. I guess I'll go ahead and tell you now. So the 6 by 6 box base is scored at 2 inches on all 4 sides, so easy. And then you just snip, of course, from one side down to the perpendicular score line, and from the other side up to the perpendicular score line. Don't cut anything off. Make sure you tell your people that if you're teaching how to do this. And then for the box top, you're going to score at 7/16 on all 4 sides. I know that's a really particular measurement. Hey, Peggy and Renee, I'm so glad you made it, my friends. So yeah, 7/16, and that's because it will be just big enough, but not too big, to fit on top of your box. And again, you're cutting down from the top to that score line, and I should keep it this way, up from the bottom to that score line, not cutting any flaps off. You'll need these flaps, but I did miter them, you'll notice, just to make the box a little cleaner. All right, and then I've got my fussy cut. Boy, did I do a lot of fussy cutting for these projects for my people. But I fussy cut out the little cat. I don't have the mouse for this one, but again, you can add the mouse from that same sheet of DSP if you like that. I like that a lot. I just ran out of mice. And then I've got my label already stamped. Again, this is an Evening Evergreen. And I had to prep all of this because, like I said, every craft supply I own besides a little kit next to me with like my basics, adhesive and scissors, I have packed somewhere in this room. So I had to prep everything in advance. But I'm going to go ahead and show you how I did this. So first I recommend taking a Post-it note, and you're going to cut this. Let me see what my measurement is for this. Oh boy, I hope I wrote this down. If not, we're going to be figuring it out together right now. Let's see. Looks like maybe not. So that's okay. Let's go ahead and measure this now. I have a measuring tape around here somewhere because, you know, renovation. This is not my renovation measuring tape. Don't worry, I'm not that naive to renovations, although this is my first time doing anything. All right. My paper trimmer is also packed away. So this is a 2 by 2 inch Post-it note template. And so I cut those out because that way you can stick that down to your card base right along the spine of the card. And you want it to be in far enough from the edge that this will stay sturdy. So I recommend at least 1 inch in. You could center it. You could do it on the other side. You'll notice I have my box for my dog card on one side, my box for my cat card on the other side, kind of just depending on the orientation of what you're adding. Like that dog was too tall, really. If I had the box over here, his tail would stick off the end here. So anyway, what I'm going to do with that template is I'm just going to cut down the sides of it. So this is step 1. So again, a 2 by 2 inch Post-it note. And again, if I'm missing things or saying things incorrectly, please correct me or ask, and I will clarify later. It's been a couple weeks since I've been settled. We had to stay with family for a week because we got into the house a week later than we thought, so I thought I'd be a lot more set now for y'all. But thank goodness for family. Thank goodness we're in now. Okay, so now that I've cut, not across the bottom, just down the 2 sides of that Post-it note, I can set that aside. And the reason I don't cut along the bottom is because, again, I want to leave this just for some extra stability in my card. So I'm going to push in on the part I just cut, that strip. Hopefully you can see that all right. And I will be posting all the instructions. Rather than post them in advance now, we've been advised to post them, you know, just before or just after we present. Because most people, I guess, were stamping along later, which I totally understand. I like to see things first, although mystery stamping can be fun, but I find it can be hard. So anyway, I will be posting all these instructions very shortly. So now I have this on the inside. And I will say, I did think if you didn't want to adorn the front with your creatures, or if you wanted to even add some more, this would be a great place to put them, because then when someone opens the card, there's a little surprise, and it kind of makes more sense of this pop-up, not just for stability. You could put it either place. But I like it here because then it's grounded, and you know, they could even display it that way. Hopefully you can see that. I guess it would be like that. So anyway, I'm still going to put mine on the outside this time, though. So I'm going to go ahead and do my card first, and then we'll build the box. Or actually, maybe I'll do it the other way around, because the card, if we don't have time, you can figure out. Because basically, I just glue that strip there, use dimensionals to stick on my cat and my sentiment. So let's do the box. Okay, so again, 6 by 6, scored on all sides at 2, which is easy. And most of you have probably built a box before. I'm hoping I have enough glue in here. If not, I'm just going to hold it together and show you what it would be like. So let's think about this. So I like to have the middle flap come up on the outside because I just think that looks cleaner. So I'm going to put glue on the outside of my outside flaps. Yay, we have glue coming out. And sorry if you hear my husband in the background. It's kind of a creaky old house. If you've ever seen This Old House, I feel like that's our life now. We've been watching, well, I've been watching a lot of clips of that show. I think my husband's seen every episode in the past, but I am starting to watch it now because I have to know how to do all the things. All right. So my new craft is my house. But hopefully I'll have some time for this. It's great to be taking a break to be here with you all today and doing this. Again, keep those comments coming. I'm sorry I can't get to them in real time, but I look forward to seeing them later. Okay, so if you didn't catch what I did there, I'll do it again. And it's always a little harder on the second side, but I'm taking my outside flaps and I'm putting glue on the outside of them. I'm using our Multipurpose Liquid Glue. That's my favorite. Although I know for building boxes, our Stamp and Seal or even Stamp and Seal Plus is a good recommendation as well, especially for people who don't like to get sticky fingers. Okay, so then I fold in one side, fold in the other side. I've already got glue on both. I like the Multipurpose Liquid Glue because you have a little wiggle time. And then I'm taking this middle flap and I'm folding that up last. And that way I just have a nice clean edge to the outside of my box. And again, I chose this one because, well, partly because it's the same DSP that the cat's box is. So I was making a match. Also, it's not necessarily Christmas. Stars wouldn't have to be Christmassy, although they certainly can be. Certainly with the cherry cobbler ribbon, they are. With the evening evergreen, you know, green and red. But it doesn't have to be, because I did this as Christmas in July, as I said, and so I wanted people to have the option to use it sooner if they really wanted to. Of course, the stockings are quite Christmas, but that's on the inside. All right. So now for my little 3x3, again, scored at 7/16 on all sides. And yes, it is worth that so that you can make it fit. And hopefully mine will. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take my mitered flaps on the outside, put a little glue on the outside of those outside flaps, and then fold them in. And of course, this is a little trickier because they're so small. And again, mitering just makes it really clean. I know I'm sharing a lot of basics, and a lot of you are avid crafters who know all this and so much more. But most of my customers are new. And one thing I've been trying to remember, although not always successfully, is that it's easy to take the basics for granted as we do this more and more. And it can be really overwhelming to new people. And so I think it's good to remind ourselves even of those basic things. And I'm sure I'm missing some basic things and making some assumptions in this presentation. So keep me accountable to that, because I like fancy folds and things like that. Obviously, these are kind of fancy. But that's my favorite thing to do. So I'm trying to figure out how to still do what I love, but keep it simple enough for beginners so that they aren't turned off and think, you know, oh, I can't do this. At least I can't do this on my own. I can only do this in a class with Hannah or whoever. Because we want them to be empowered to be able to create anytime, anywhere with anyone. All right, so now I've got my box lid. Super easy. Moment of truth. Let's see if it fits. And I like to put my, again, my side with the flap that comes down over those side flaps in the front. And look at that. Perfect fit. So there's my box. And again, you could wrap it up with ribbon. Let's see how we're doing on time. I think I'm gonna stop there because again, all I would do is glue down this strip here and then use dimensionals to put my cat or whatever critter you've chosen and my label, and then my box would fit right in there. And this is how the people at the class made them. We didn't do the ribbon because I knew that would be a mess with the markers. Again, if I had the Stampin' Blends, it would be a lot quicker to dry and not messy. But that looks great too. Or here's the embellished one with the ribbon. So that is the box in a card. And again, you can do the dog version. Or there's other creatures in this suite. Call them out if you remember them. I know there's like a hamster or a gerbil or something. If you think you know what that is, let me know. All All right, let me cap my glue. So the next card is a bag in a card. And for this one, my upline Bethany Barnard introduced me to the concept, but then I learned how to make it on a tutorial from May Made It Crafts. So this is it, and I've got, once again, the dog version and the cat version. This time I used the Everyday Label Punch, I believe. Let me double check that. And I used the Pampered Pets stamp set. Yes, and again, I like the cat version, not just because I own a cat, but it makes it kind of an ironic card to say, hope your day is a real treat with this kind of grumpy cat. But, you know, what cat wouldn't be grumpy wearing antlers? This dog was pretty happy to be wearing a wreath, I will say. And I added the little bird delivering the mail with this one. So every sheet of DSP that has animals on it has 3 animals, a dog, a cat, and then another animal. So the first one had that mouse, this one had the bird, and the last one we're going to see has a fish. So anyway, I liked to include those. Again, lots of fussy cutting those, so be patient. But the big reveal in this one, of course, is the bag that's inside. So it's a little shopping bag, perfectly sized for a gift card. So a great way to give a gift in a card all in one, just like the last one. Although this one, of course, folds flat and can mail. The other one, you'd have to hand deliver the box separate from the card, or I guess mail that, but that would be an expensive mail. So yes, so that's what we're going to make this time. So let me set those. I'll keep them where you can see them, I guess, like that. Keep this one open if I can. Thanks, Vicky. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, keep those comments coming, y'all. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm not going to be able to make that stay, I don't think. Let me see. Not quite. Maybe if we get that guy in here. Okay, so once again, you've got your 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that you've cut at 5.5, so 8.5 by 5.5, fold in the middle at 4 1/4. Then we've got our little cutouts, our punched label. This is the cherry cobbler. Again, I used all coordinating colors. This has all the critters on it. There's the gerbil or the hamster. I'm not sure. I want to know what you guys think that is. All coming out of the stockings. So this piece is 3 by 4. Again, a great size to cut up a piece of 12 by 12 piece of paper if you're trying to get the most out of it, which I was for my class. And then this piece, let me make sure I get all these measurements right. So this I did a little differently than May. This one is 3 by 10.5. She did hers at 11, and I did mine by 10.5, which is less overlap at the end, you'll see. That's to save paper, and it just is less bulk. I found that the bag opened better without that, to me. So you're going to score in portrait at 3/8. I can barely read my typing there. Okay, yeah, 3/8. And then in landscape at 1/2 inch, 1, whoops, this end, 1/2 inch, 1, 5, 5.5, 6, and 10, okay? And then what I did is, of course, fold on all those score lines. On that bottom 3/8 of an inch flap, I did cut out the first little tab in the intersecting score lines. I cut out the center tab from the 6-inch score line to the 5-inch score line across that 5.5. And then the last tab, again, from the 1-inch score line all the way to the end across that 1/2 inch score line. So it's basically the gusseted areas of our bag, because then here's how you fold this. So I think it's maybe easiest to start with just the 1/2 inch tab. So you fold that back, fold back again at the next one, but then you alternate towards you and away from you, so you create this little accordion fold. And then down here you do the same thing, so away from you, towards you, so you have another little accordion fold. And then this 1/2 inch flap on the one end is what will glue to the back. Hopefully you can see this. Let me do it like this. So if you fold your accordion flat and you fold this flap flat, you just fold the bag flat. So you've got this accordion flattened, and this tab tucked in. And so that's where they're going to join, right there. To have more overlap into there made this really thick, and I didn't think the bag popped up well. So that's why I did 10.5 instead of 11. So you just have this 1/2 inch flap. So hopefully that makes sense. So then you know for sure it's going to fold flat in your card. And you can also hole punch a place for your thread, which, do I have thread? I might have forgotten. I did. Sadness. Okay, so I forgot to include my thread. I had a feeling I might have done that. So these are just a few inches of thread. You do want to make sure that they're not going to be too long so that they're not going to stick out the side of your card and reveal what's inside there. And these I just went from the outside in to the bag through my 2 holes, and then I just put a little strip of tape to hold down the handles. So a little clear tape you can't even really see. I think May used like washi tape. If you wanted to make it something decorative, you could. So anyway, definitely punch those holes while the bag is flat. And then what you do, and this gets me, this is one of those things, like, I guess I just don't have a mind, an engineering mind, although I'm getting a little better with all this crafting. But I always think, how in the world did they do that? And then even when I'm doing it the way they say, I'm like, this can't work. And then it does, it's like magic. All right, so right now I'm just putting glue. Let's see, to make it easy, I'm gonna put it where you can see on this just 1/2 inch flap. Just put a little glue down the flap there. And then again, with the accordion folded in on itself, I'm gonna fold my bag flat. And it's more important that the bag be flat than that those edges perfectly line up. If you've measured it and cut it correctly, they should, but you know, sometimes those little 1/16 of an inch or 32nds of an inch off happen, and that's okay. Because that, if there is a little overlapping, which mine barely has a little, that can be the back, right, that you don't see when you open the card. All right, so here's what you do. You have that 3/8 inch flap at the bottom, right? And it's hard to see with this pattern paper, but I can see my fold is right below those yellow dots, so I'm not going to put glue above that. So I'm just going to put glue down that 3/8 inch flap. I'm going to center the bag along the seam of my card, and I'm going to close the card, and then just rub it down. Now I'm going to flip it over. So now I'm looking from the back, and I'm going to do the same thing. Guessing this line is right below the yellow dots. Yep. So again, just glue on the flap and then close up the card. And even now, I mean, I've done this multiple times now, and I'm just like, it can't work. These pop-up mechanisms, you know, they look so complicated. They're so simple to do, and you're just like, it can't be. But let's see. There it is. So when you open the card, it flattens out those flaps, and it opens up your bag. How cute is that? So again, thank you, May and Bethany, who pointed me to this type of card. And then again, May, who I followed the tutorial to make it. So on the front, once again, I would just glue this down. I did mine on the bottom half. You could certainly do different orientation. I put my label on dimensionals. I don't know about y'all, but I always put something on dimensionals, usually my sentiment, and oftentimes my little fussy cutouts like these guys would be up on dimensionals too. I just overlapped them a little bit like that. And so that would be my bag in a card. So the last one I want to show you, and I'm not going to show you how to make it, I'm just going to show you that you could make it with this suite. And let me see if I can get some of these in here so you can remember what we've made already. But this is something that I altered from Nina King McMillan, one of my partners in craft teammates on Bethany Barnard's team. She was making it with the Hey Chick suite of products, and I made one with the Pampered Pets suite of products. This one is, of course, with the Sweet Stockings suite. So it's a little animal house, I'm going to say, because it's not just dogs inside, and it's an ornament. So you could hang this on your tree. This is cinnamon cider cardstock and then white accents, and it opens this way. This is a retired Christmas sentiment, but I've got my cat and my fish in there from this Inspire Series paper. And then it also opens, I added a little Velcro to mine to open this way, and you've got your little animal inside there as well. And this could be for your personal message. Or I had one of my, I think it was one of my classmates at the class where I was teaching this say, you know, you could put a Christmas photo in there of your family or something like that. But certainly if you wanted something a little more personal, a little more private, it would be closed up, and it would hang on the tree without opening up. The little front message might open up a little bit, but that's okay, because again, that's for all to see. So yeah, so that's the little ornament card as well. So those were some things we made in my Christmas in July class with this suite. Again, it's the Sweet Stockings suite on pages 30 and 31. I just think it's so cute, so fun for, well, people of all ages. I was going to say kids especially might love it, but any animal lovers and Christmas lovers, I think there's something for everyone in this. And of course, there's a lot we didn't see, like the felt sheets, the matte decorative dots, the pool party ribbon. Oh, and that was the other thing I was going to mention for the bag in a card. You, of course, could add a little tissue in here to make it look like even more of a gift bag. And if you get paper pumpkins like I do, I've been doing paper pumpkin parties every month this year, so I have a lot. There's that pool party tissue in every paper pumpkin box. Sometimes a different color to coordinate, but usually pool party, which would coordinate perfectly with this suite. So just something to keep in mind. So thank you all so much for watching. Hi, Diane. Oh, good. I'm so glad more could join. And I know more will join on replay. Please continue to comment, ask me your questions, tell me what you like, what you don't like about this suite. Or I shouldn't say don't like, maybe could like even better to create with it, or what else you like from our new holiday catalog. But I really appreciate y'all's grace with me, and it was great to take a break and craft with you. So you can always follow me on Hannah Crafted Gifts on all the social media. And again, I will be sharing instructions on what I showed you today, at least these first two cards, the box in a card and the bag in a card. Very shortly in this post, you'll see all of that, the supplies and the instructions and everything. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't say it enough, and I hope you all have a great day. Oh, thank you, Francis. Thank you for hosting this, and you and your team, all that you do for us here. This is my favorite place to be. All right, enjoy the rest of the day. I think presentations come back on at 1 if you're watching this live on Sunshine SU Demos page, and take care.